What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on the Twitter at ConRadicalness, on Instagram at @new_ConRadicalness. Joined alongside, as always, Mike Wallace. Mike, what's going on, man?
Yes, sir. What's going on? Did you say the Twitter?
The Twitter.
Not even X, just the Twitter.
They mama called it Twitter.
Twitter.
They mama called it Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter.
All right. We got to get you the X. I can't wait to. Is it the X or the X?
I don't know. As long as he's owning it, I'll never call it X because he wants me to call it X. I'm calling it the Twitter.
All right. Well, he bought the Twitter, right? So
I understand. Listen, I can't control who buy it, Mike.
There you go.
But I can control what I call it. It's Twitter. It'll always be Twitter, man.
All right, there we go. Right off the bat, we got to take it off the rails.
I'm finna go off rails. Maxwell is in town.
Yes, he is.
Be there tonight.
Was by the time you guys see this.
Yeah,
he was in town.
I'll be there tonight. Or tomorrow night.
Yeah,
or yesterday.
You were there.
Last night. I was there. I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. Yeah.
How was the show, man?
It was great. I know it's going to be great. It hadn't happened yet here for me, but it happened yet for y'all. It's going to be, I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out there and see Maxwell FedEx Forum. A lot of great concerts, a lot of great shows come through the Forum, and this is the latest.
Definitely one of them.
The first one since the renovations.
I'm
interested to see how the shows pop off with the new renovations that's been made inside FedEx Forum also. I'm excited about it.
It's a big week. Hoops for St. Jude Classic was Monday, right? Or Tuesday. It was Tuesday. Maxwell is Wednesday. And, we got a Grizzlies final preseason game on Friday. Mm-hmm. Then Kurt Franklin and the reunion tour is on Saturday. So
I forgot
I'll
that
be
was
at
Saturday.
that one.
Okay.
I'll be at that one. So
Who's
I'm looking forward to
that.
Man, Kurt Franklin,
right?
Yolanda Adams, Marvin Sapp.
Ooh.
I think the Clark sisters.
Yeah.
And Fred Hammond.
Oh,
Fred Hammond, man! We're going to church.
Can we say turn up to that? Because I want to say turn up for Jesus to that.
Turn up for Jesus.
That's a Jesus turn up right there.
That's the Jesus.
I love it. We got a lot of fun things to get to. We obviously will do our pick sixes. I regret to inform everybody I might have made a mistake on last week's pick six. I might have. So we'll talk some about that. We've got some great news coming out of Grizzlies mentoring. We got the pictures. We had them on a couple episodes ago, and they talked about doing their college tour. And so they did that this past weekend. They were kind enough to share some photos with us, so we'll talk about that. Obviously, we'll take a look at the box to row polls, the D2 box to row polls. We got Tennessee student rep and Memphis native Tyler Cole. He's going to join us. First Take was at Tennessee State last week. Tennessee State, by the way, having a nice little moment.
Nice run,
right
man.
Now.
Nice run,
It'll be a lot of TSU stories coming up this week. But Tyler Cole was there, and he got on First Take. He had a great question about the NBA and the Memphis Grizzlies, so we'll talk some to him. We got all of that plus so much more. But, Mike, last week's games are way in the books.
Okay.
Anything stood out to you before we get to the players of the week?
Unfortunately, man, the season is over for Grambling.
Now,
we were up.
I've been waiting for this moment for so long, Mike.
And then we went down.
To quote that famous philosophicizer, I used to pray for times like this, man. Dang. Good grief.
You were praying for my downfall, man.
I pray on down. I'm a big time hater.
Oh, man.
They say Kendrick's the biggest hater. I'm close. If Kendrick's the biggest, I'm close.
Hey, all I needed for Grambling to do was get me to preseason basketball. Be relevant the first 3 weeks of the season, and then let's take it from there. I told you, CJ, our season starts off so promising all the time. And then we get to that damn classic, man. The State Fair Classic every year against Prairie View now, and then it just goes the other way. Now we done lost back-to-back games, fell to Alcorn this past weekend. Quarterback can't play. Miles Crawley was the preseason SWAC, one of the players of the year. I want to say definitely first team SWAC.
He was the player of the year. He was the preseason player of the year.
He can't get the offense into the end zone. The defense is frustrated now because the offense can't score. And the season just went off the rails quickly, man. I was high 3 weeks ago, and now it's just I'm back to earth, man. That's my biggest takeaway.
The thing that I had to look this up to double check. The thing that got Grambling to where they were post Jackson State and maybe a game after that as well. I forget when the State Fair Classic was. They were forcing a whole lot of turnovers.
Yeah,
they were, and it was
leading the nation.
It was 3, 4, 5. That Jackson State game, 5 forced turnovers. And if you can do that, you're going to win all of the games that you play in if you can force 4 and 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
And since then, they haven't forced those types of turnovers. The offense has always, I feel like, looked like it's been stuck.
Something missing.
Something's missing. It's stuck in the mud, so to speak. But defensively, it's not just that they were getting big time stops. It's that they're getting touchdowns. I still think that they lead the nation. I have to double check. I think they still lead the nation in defensive touchdowns. I know they're like second in the nation. Not like they are second. It's 3 teams ahead of them, but those 3 teams, one of them, Alcorn State, is tied. They're all tied for first in forced turnovers.
Right.
And Gramblin's right there, second still in the nation in forced turnovers. But if they're not getting defensive touchdowns, if they're not getting special teams touchdowns, that offense has shown nothing in terms of explosiveness and being able to put points up on the board. All right, and so I think that's been what has happened. These teams have decided, hey, if we just take care of the ball, we'll be okay. And they have decided to take care of the ball.
17-15. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? On your home field. Like, that's just, you can't just score 15 points in a SWAC game and expect to win it. Like, that's just not happening, man. And, you know, so again, it was good while it lasted. It was all good just a week ago. You know, just 2 weeks ago, it was all good. And that was my biggest takeaway. What about you?
They got a big time matchup against Pine Bluff this week. And so,
hey, you ever talk about like, well, and you've done it. Like you've said, man, I want to root against my team, right? Like because you know what I mean, because Coach Hampton has done some good things and they got a big time win. Shout out to them too. They got a big time win on national TV there, beating Prairie View, right? They beat the team that Grambling lost to. So for man, it's gonna be a good game again. But hey, listen, I'm turning my attention elsewhere.
I think what stood out to me, Makai for Arkansas Pine Bluff, bringing them up. Speaking of, like he's legit.
I said he was a good quarterback, man.
We got to see 2 of the best quarterbacks in HBCU football right here in Memphis at the Southern Heritage Classic. When you think about Draylon Ellis over at Tennessee State, and you think about what Makai is doing right now over at Arkansas Pine Bluff, I do believe he leads the SWAC in passing yards per game and total passing touchdowns. And the connection that Makai Hagans and Giovanni Gibson have. Gibson is the wide receiver there. It's special. He leads the SWAC, and it's by a mile in receiving yards per game. I think he's at like 143, 146, something like that. And the next closest player is about 80. So that connection is really, really fun to watch, and I'm curious to see how Coach Hampton rides those 2 out the rest of the season for the Golden Lions.
And it's just, look, if we can combine Arkansas Pine Bluff's offense with Grambling's defense,
that's a team right there.
That's a team. So that's what it's going to come down to, man. And you know, Arkansas Pine Bluff is a lot better than its record shows. It seems like, at least from an offensive production standpoint, they've been in some shootouts and they just hadn't been able to hold teams down. But you know, again, it's a battle of the gold and black, man. Gold and black battling back and forth, and we'll see which team comes out of it. But those are 2 good takeaways: Grambling's demise and Arkansas Pine Bluff's sort of breakthrough.
Not the game of the week. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but it is on the pick 6, so we'll have a pick on that game. Another thing that stood out. Didn't watch this game per se, but woke up and I'm on Sundays. I go through and it's like, okay, it's time to do my ballot. Here's the games I watch. Here's what I think happened. Let me start looking at some of these stats and seeing what popped off. A.J. Richardson, Norfolk State linebacker. 18 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and an interception. That's our HBCU HBCU Huddle, player of the week. 18 tackles, Mike?
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
It's dudes who go through 4 games. Good dudes. Good dudes who go through 4 games and don't get 18 tackles.
And let alone 5.5 tackles for loss. Man. So he's getting into the offensive backfield as well, too. I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew in that situation. Were there 10 other teammates on the field with him, or he had to do everything?
Listen, it couldn't have been. It couldn't have been with 18 tackles, 2 sacks, 5.5 and an interception. Come on, man. That's so tip of the cap. Hats off to him. Let's look at the MEAC players of the week on the offensive side of the ball. Jashawn Scroggins. He ended up scoring the go-ahead touchdown to get the win. 153 passing yards, 85 rushing yards. We talked about A.J. Richardson out of Norfolk State with his, again, It bears repeating. 18 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and an interception. So those are your players of the week
and Scroggins is Howard, right?
Yeah.
Scroggins, yeah. Scroggins is Howard. So Howard is they got a big time game coming up this week too. So I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Homecoming.
But yes. Howard is still hanging in there, and Norfolk State. I think they lost that game, but they've been playing harder and harder, up at Norfolk. But it's one of those things, man, where it's just going to be tough for them to really kind of have the season that they were expecting to have under Dawson Odoms. And we'll see where that program goes, because a lot of things I'm hearing is that they might be headed for a coaching change at the end of this season if this thing doesn't get turned around.
Who are they looking up at?
Who, Norfolk State?
Norfolk State.
Everybody in the conference.
Including Delaware State?
Delaware State is 1-5. And so they're not looking up at Delaware State,
Okay.
but Delaware State played really well early. They went out to Hawaii and was competitive, came back and won a game, but they just don't have the depth. Norfolk State had everything that they needed. The expectations were there, and they just hadn't been able to get it done, man. I mean, they're hanging in there. They might be around 500, but they were expecting to compete for at least a MEAC championship.
So they're looking up at Coach Oliver in North Carolina Central.
North Carolina Central. They're looking up at Howard.
Barry in South Carolina State.
They're looking
Howard.
Yep. Those three, and Morgan State.
Yeah,
I don't think they've played Morgan State yet, but Morgan State is right there as well too. So you can't be third in a 5 or 6 team league, man. That doesn't help you.
Not at all. Over in the SWAC Offensive Player of the Week, we got co-offensive players of the week. We'll start with Xavier Langford, 315 passing yards, 73 rushing yards, 4 total touchdowns on the week. And we got Kareem Keys. He had 326 passing yards and 4 touchdowns off of the bench as he helped Alabama State erase an early 14-0 deficit against Mississippi Valley State. The Hornets ended up outscoring them 54-3 over the final 3+ quarters, as Key ended up tossing 4 touchdown passes while completing 14 of 21 passes for 326 yards. It's crazy to stop and think that Alabama State was down 14 to Mississippi Valley State. We got a Valley game on the pick 6, so we'll talk more about them in a little
somebody's
bit.
got to win.
Somebody's
got to win.
Hell, you brought it up, Mike.
No. That was a teaser. We
Somebody
got to win. Keep going.
Over on the defensive side for the SWAC, we've got Stamarian Edwards. Edwards finished with 12 tackles on the night, highlighted by 2.5 of those tackles, which were tackles for losses, during Alcorn State's 17-14 win over Grambling State. His tackles for losses accounted for a -7 yards on the night, while he also recorded an interception and a quarterback hurry. So that's 12 tackles is also impressive.
Oh, yeah.
As well. So shout out to all of the players of the week. When I sent this, we're not going to talk about it. We can throw it up or we cannot. One pack, don't feel like you got to throw it up. So we don't got Kyra directing.
Yeah, you got to break that down.
We got wonderful Abigail directing. I call her Ab for short. And if you got one Ab, you got a 1-pack, not a 2-pack, not a 3-pack, not a 4-pack, not a 6-pack. It's 1-pack. So I call it 1-pack. So Phil Steele's midseason All-Americans came out this week. For those of you who don't know, Phil Steele is a college football guru. He does a great job previewing the season and keeping up with the season as it goes on, not just at the FBS level, but also at the FCS level. There were a handful of HBCU players to make that, including, but not limited to, Kenny Gallup. Tennessee State had Kenny Gallup Jr. From Howard. Tennessee State had 2 or 3 players make the midseason Phil Steele All-American list as well. We will talk about that more next week. We'll go through and give our midseason awards out, Mike.
All right.
Most surprising, best team, disappointing, best coach, player of the year, those types of things. Next week. Just a little tease for next week. Let's go to the polls, though, Mike, and start with the D2 box to row poll. As we take a look at this, Johnson C. Smith, the last undefeated HBCU team in the land. Not just in D2, in all the land. Sitting there at the top of the D2 polls at 6-0. Virginia Union, their conference mate, is right there, number 2 at 4-2. Clark Atlanta is number 3. Winston-Salem State, they are 4th. They got a big matchup this weekend as well. That's in our pick 6. We'll talk more about that a little bit later against Johnson C. Smith. West Virginia State comes in at number 5. Fort Valley State, 6. Miles, Virginia State, Albany State, Livingston. All round out your top 10 in the D2 polls. Over in the FCS polls, let's go to the national polls first, Mike. We got quite a few HBCUs in here now, with Jackson State coming in at number 25 in this week's FCS polls. The North Carolina Central, what are they, Eagles?
Eagles, yeah.
Eagles, North Carolina Central Eagles. They are 21st, and FAMU is sitting right there at 18, setting up a big-time showdown around the corner from us. A top 25 matchup between Jackson State and Florida A&M. And when we look at my ballot this week, we've got FAMU 1, North Carolina Central 2, Tennessee State. I jumped them up.
There
Tennessee
you go.
State.
There you go.
Getting in there
Show them
at
some
3.
respect. Show them some
Getting in there
respect.
at 3. Then we go Morgan State, Hampton, Jackson State. I moved Jackson State in front of Howard. I feel like that Grambling State loss was more of a mirage, more of a fluke,
it's looking like it, isn't it?
type situation.
It's looking like it, yeah.
So Jackson State comes in at 6. Howard comes in at 7. Johnson C. Smith, the lone undefeated HBCU team in the land, is at 8. I got South Carolina State at 9. And with the win over Grambling, I moved Alcorn State up there at 10. Mike, any thoughts on my list before we get to the box to row?
No, I think that's fair. I see that as being fair. I would at this point, I would move Central above FAMU. I think Central is playing the best right now of all of the teams when you look at it. Obviously, Johnson C. Smith, they're Division II. I don't want to discount them too much because they're undefeated at 6-0. But yeah, I would switch to 1 and 2. Your 3, 4. Morgan State, I want to see what I need to see a little bit more from them.
Yeah.
I think Jackson State is a little low. I think they could probably be up to top 4 from that standpoint. Everybody else, man, is legit. Alcorn State proved that they can win it. They went on and beat Grambling on the road in impressive defensive fashion. And South Carolina State is surprising me. This is not a rebuilding year at all for Chinnisbury and those South Carolina State Bulldogs down there.
When I made this list, all of those thoughts came to mind.
And you're right, yeah.
But what I settled on was, next week it'll be completely different. It'll settle because FAMU and Jackson State have to play.
Yes.
Johnson C. Smith has a tough one against Winston-Salem State. Tennessee State has to play Howard. So they are facing off this week, and I'll get more clarity. So I didn't lose any sleep over this. You're right. Everything you said was right. I could have very easily moved Jackson State up and made a couple other tweaks to this, but they're all finna play one another.
But there's one thing that the bottom line here is, it's your ballot.
Yeah, well, listen,
you ain't got to defend your ballot. What you put on there is what you put on there.
We have the show, so the ballot needs explaining and defending, right? Like we do a whole ballot segment.
Yeah, that's
let's look at the box to row poll. So my ballot feeds into this poll.
Yes.
FAMU sitting there at number 1 still, followed by North Carolina Central, who got 8 of the 21 first place votes, which means FAMU, well, that doesn't necessarily mean, but FAMU got 13 of the first place votes. So those 2 teams are getting all of the first place votes. Then they went Jackson State 3, Tennessee State 4, Johnson C. Smith 5, South Carolina State 6, Hampton 7, Alabama State 8, Alcorn State 9, Virginia Union 10. Mike, anything stand out over here?
There's a respect right there for Virginia Union. And so what this means is that we're headed to a clash between Virginia Union and Johnson C. Smith, right?
I think they played.
They've already played. Okay.
Johnson C. Smith won.
Oh, okay. So then that basically secures Johnson C. Smith. All they got to do, I think they are 1 or 2 more wins away from clinching it at this point, because no one else is going to catch them. If you catch them, it's a tie, and chances are you're the team that already lost to them, which is Virginia Union. So, hey, man, it's an impressive. That's a good list. I love to see a mix of Division II and Division I HBCUs on the list together, because it gives respect there. So I think you had 7 Division I and then 3 Division IIs.
Yeah.
And all good, man. It's been a good season. It's been a very balanced HBCU football season. There's a lot of good teams you can get behind, and I love to see those winning records on that top 10 poll.
When I think about CIAA football, at least in the time since we've been doing this show, and probably historically as well, this iteration of it, Virginia Union, Virginia State, and what's not my man, but what's
Benedict?
They're not in it. Chowan.
I
think of those
Chowan,
three. I think of those 3 as, okay, these are the teams that are always good in this conference. Chowan is not.
You ain't really want to give them. You really didn't embrace them though. They were sort of like a stepchild. HBCU stepchild.
I know I did.
That's what I'm saying. You didn't embrace them when they were good. You didn't embrace them.
Nope, not at all.
You questioned their charter.
So Virginia Union and Virginia State though are still there.
And Bowie State was always there too.
Bowie State is another one.
Yeah.
And what was I going? Oh, Johnson C. Smith has already played and beat Virginia Union and Virginia State.
Okay.
And so I'm looking at their schedule right now. They've got.
What do they have left?
They've got Shaw, Winston-Salem State, Fayetteville State, and Livingston.
Okay. Livingston is going to be interesting. Winston-Salem State is their biggest last game remaining, though, and that's coming up. So they win this weekend, they basically clinch it at that point because they only have 3 games left. If they win this weekend, they're 2 up on anybody else that can catch them, and they already beat Virginia Union, as you said. So that's the only other team that could even tie them. So, hey, they're clinching a conference championship if they win this week, it looks like.
Here we go.
Mathematically.
We've got more to get to on the other side. Got an interview we're really excited about with Memphis native and Tennessee State student rep Tyler Cole. He was there last week. It was Tennessee State's homecoming. First Take was there. It was a great scene out of Nashville off of Jefferson Street. He was there. He got to talk to the First Take crew about the start of the NBA season and more. We'll talk to him next up on HBCU Huddle right here in the Built Ford Tough studios on Grind City Media.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Maxwell in concert. The Serenade Tour. October 16th at FedEx Forum. Maxwell. With special guest Jasmine Sullivan. And October London. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Maxwell Live.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Hey, we got Tyler Cole here. What's your take?
Hold on, let me get this out the way. Hey, fight! So look, I got a take for you today. The Grizzlies are a bigger threat in the West than the Lakers. Speak on it.
Let's turn the mic on, Mike. That was a wonderful moment from Tennessee State student rep Tyler Cole, who is kind enough to join us right now on HBCU Huddle. Tyler, what's going on, man? Is Tyler there? Oh, we're working on it. Try and get Tyler. As we try and get him on, Mike.
Yeah.
You saw the sights and sounds from Tennessee State homecoming, and if you're in Memphis, Memphis is a feeder city to Tennessee State, and so I have a lot of friends who were there. I lived in Nashville, so you could say I'm from Nashville if you wanted to, technically speaking. I don't think that would be wrong. And I was seeing all following along on social media. It looked like Tennessee State homecoming was a great time. Did you see anything of interest?
Oh, no, I saw plenty of interest. The fact that this is back-to-back weeks where Tennessee State got all kind of love. The previous week, the Grizzlies were there. Mm-hmm. The Memphis Grizzlies had a on-campus visit and got a pep rally at the hands of Tennessee State. We got a chance to tour their technology center as well as getting over to the campus, man. So it was a beautiful time. You go from that one week to ESPN's First Take bringing their flagship show. to your campus the next week. And it's a lot of love, man. They got a lot of good spotlight these last 2 weeks, which is why it's important to get Tyler, man. And by way of Memphis, this is a representative, a young man who's a junior from the Memphis area and out at Tennessee State. So he knows all about what the scene and sites were like.
Do we have Tyler right now? I think we have him. Tyler, what up, baby?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, doing well. What was that experience like having First Take on your campus?
It was surreal. I don't think when they came on campus, I didn't think they was real before. I always watched them on TV, so it's like seeing those people in person is super crazy to me. Like I don't think I ever would have experienced that had I went to had I not chose to go to TSU like that. So.
Yeah. Hey, Tyler, you got to give us the energy, man. You gave First Take the energy. You came off the top with the A5. Come on, man. You got to give us something. Hey, get us something now.
It's cold today. It was hot earlier. It's real cold today.
Hey, so what is that atmosphere like, man? And I was telling you when we were chopping it up on text, getting you set up for the show, that the Grizzlies, we were there the previous week. There's a chance. I actually had a chance to hang out with your younger brother, man, and he got a nice photo with Marcus Smart when the Grizzlies were there when we made our visit to Tennessee State. What has it been like just to be on that campus these last 2 weeks when you get your NBA team that represents the region and the state on campus 1 week, and then you get First Take the next week? Just what was that atmosphere like? Can you describe how the atmosphere has been around Tennessee State?
Lively. If I had to put in one word, lively. Like Tennessee State, like I don't think I've seen that many heads out for real since like my freshman year. And trust me, my freshman year was very lively. So I believe the atmosphere was great. It was amazing. Homecoming was energetic. We came in with first take and all that stuff. The Grizzlies coming the week before. Folks was texting me like, yo, these people are way bigger than I expected. These folks are not as small as they seem on TV. I'm like, bro, I know. Zach Edey like a smooth 7'5". I'm like, okay.
Tyler, where you're from Memphis? What part of Memphis are you from, and where'd you go to high school, man?
So I was born and raised in Memphis. I had moved when I was 14 to Atlanta, to North Atlanta. But I was in the southeast area. I went to Ridgeway Middle School before going to high school in Atlanta. So I was in that area. Got you.
That's what's up.
And from what I understand, man, it's a real family atmosphere around Tennessee State there. Word is that you're a communications major, man. So you're trying to, at least study the field that we're in right now. What are some of the things that you like to do? What are some of the things that you, when you look at your career, what would you like? What path would you like to take that from Tennessee State?
So ideally, I grew up like a very artistic kid. So I like drawing and all that stuff. So I kind of flipped that into something of value that I can use for a career. So I do photography, I'm learning videography, I do graphic designs. My end goal is to be like some type of creative director or commentator. I like to be very fluid, but within the sports industry, because I really enjoy talking about sports. I played sports growing up. So it's like, this is the area I want to be in. And First Take was like maybe the push I needed to keep going forward, because sometimes you go left field and you get distracted about all the other things that's going around you that you lose your path. So that First Take interview, I really needed that. That was the push forward I know I needed to keep going and keep striving towards what I wanted to do.
Seeing people who look like you doing something you want to do, that is very, very inspiring. And I've had moments like that, Mike. I'm sure that you have as well, where it is, all right, it's the doldrums of the semester. Here it is, mid-October. Kind of want to sleep in. I don't want to make it to that 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock class, but seeing First Take with people, not just forward facing, not just the Stephen A. Smiths, Cam Newtons, Shannon Sharps, Molly's of the world, but the people behind the scenes as well. Like that, I can see how they help to inspire you, Tyler Cole, because they would motivate me as well. You brought up how live it's been on Tennessee State's campus. Is that just students? Particularly with First Take, it didn't seem like it was just students. How much of that was students, alumni, and just Nashvillians, just the people of the community who live off Jefferson Street coming out to show love and show support to Tennessee State?
I think a huge chunk was definitely alumni.
Okay.
Just coming back. because like students, we're always going to bring energy. We're young. We're always going to want to have fun. We don't want to be in class all day. Just be honest. So it's like the alumni bring energy too. So like they kind of matched our energy and really brought more. It was like you can see the heart. You can see the heart and soul of the campus coming back from years worth of history through the alumni coming back. So like I feel like that energy that they had was mainly alumni, and then the students amplified it even more because of what we are now. You know what I mean? So I believe, and the Nashvillians also, because of Tennessee State's campus and Tennessee State's history, they brought energy as well. But the alumni, they carry it.
Yeah, it's the HBCU Huddle. We're here, CJ and Michael Wallace right here, and we're chopping it up with Tyler Cole, Jr. from Memphis by way of Atlanta to Tennessee State, junior at Tennessee State. He is the guy, the co-star alongside Stephen A. Smith, my man Sharp, and Cam Newton. Tyler had the question that went viral on the First Take episode last week about the Grizzlies, and I want to get into your question. When you obviously you're a Grizzlies fan, you know this is where you're from, born and raised in Memphis. Were you satisfied with the answers you got? And we didn't play the full clip. But Stephen A. gave you credit for being a fan of the Grizzlies. He said Ja Morant's going to get his thing done. It's going to be a great bounce-back year. And then Shannon and also Cam kind of piggybacked off of that. Were you satisfied with the answer that you got? But they ultimately still felt like the Lakers were going to be ahead of the Grizzlies. I know you completely disagree with that, but what did you think about the answers you got?
No, I am not satisfied. I would stand on that because they still believe the Lakers are a bigger threat than the Grizzlies, and I stand 10 toes down that the Grizzlies are a bigger threat. We have a better roster. We have a deeper roster. We can go 10, 12. We can go 10 to 12 deep. Everybody's fluid. Everybody can get the ball. Everybody can put the ball on the floor. Everybody can facilitate. Everybody can rebound, defend. Like the Grizzlies are a great, well-balanced, well-versed team, more than the Lakers, in my opinion. I feel like they're top 4 seed going in. So no, I'm not satisfied with my take. I knew which way they were going, and I was there to ruffle some feathers. But I didn't have enough time to. Stephen A., we could talk about it. Let's go.
Why did you choose to go to TSU, man?
So it was a second home to me. So when I moved to Atlanta, I kind of missed Memphis, right? Because I grew up nothing but Memphis. So when we moved to Atlanta, I was like, oh, okay, it's cool. And I warmed up to Atlanta, but it took too long. I grew up literally outside of Memphis in Tennessee State. My parents went there. So I was like, okay, this is second nature. Mostly everybody from there is from my city, from my hometown. I know people. It's going to feel like home to me. I got to go to Tennessee State, man. And plus, the scholarship was there. So
Oh yeah, no question about that, man. You got to go where the money is, and it always felt like home as well too. But you're making a name for yourself there as well too, and this kind of exposure and this opportunity, you certainly are a fine ambassador for Tennessee State. The program that you're in, hopefully you could continue to move forward in that as well too. You're a junior, so you got one more year to take care of that. One more question for me before we move on. The football team, man, Tennessee State, Eddie George has these guys. Draylon Ellis has these guys second in the Big South OVC. Southeast Missouri State is the final game of the season, and the championship for the division could come down to that game right there. How good is this football team right now, and how much love are they getting around the campus and in that community based on the start that they've gotten off to so far?
I believe our team is great. First of all, my line brothers on there. Shout out Jalen. Yeah, I think our football team is great. We're starting off great. The campus, I believe they're receiving love, just because of their play style, how they're bringing the energy to the games, how they're ending the games, how they're interacting with crowds. Like I believe this team is really good. Eddie George got them sitting on a championship mentality, in my opinion. I feel like the team is gonna go far. We're gonna do big things, man. So I think this football team is real good, man. I feel like it's real good.
All right, Tyler, before we get out of here, we don't want this to be the last time we talk to you. We do want to stay in touch, but in order to stay in touch, we have to know where to look for you at, right? You're a junior. You got one more year, so we know you're in Nashville. We know you're at Tennessee State for the next year and a half or so. But after Tennessee State, what would you like to do? Where would you like to go from a career standpoint after TSU, after you graduate?
I want to go straight to a master's. I want to get my master's degree. in somewhere in the sports industry or somewhere in marketing. I have a marketing mind, some would say. So I like to have creative ideas on set, on like almost on impact, almost instantly, like at the snap of my finger. So more than likely, my 5-year plan is to start getting into my master's program, wherever that may be, and then lead into a sports industry or sports agency where I can add on to creative ideas, where I can add on to marketing, where I can add on to the journalism side and write down or watch the games and talk about those things on a podcast like this one or stuff like that. Like I like to do stuff like that. So that's my aim. So you're gonna see me more than likely doing that stuff.
Memphis native, Tennessee State student rep, Tyler Cole, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Know you on with friend of the show, Anthony Sane, a little bit earlier. Thank you so much for fitting us into your schedule, man. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Have a good one, man. That's he's great.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's so much fun. And I thought what he said about the alumni, and this is why it's important as alumni we go back, because we bring a different sort of an energy to the campus that the younger people and that the students on campus feed off of. And it's like, oh, they're doing the same chants we're doing. They did this. And I know for me, when I was at Tuskegee, best part about homecoming was seeing all the alumni walking around campus with the same gear on that we had, doing the same chants that we had, the chants from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to the early 2000s when I was on campus, mid 2000s when I was on campus, doing all of that. It gave me a sense of connection to the past. It's like, also, if they can do it, why can't I? They came through here and they made something of themselves. They got money to spend on the latest and greatest in fashion. I'm sitting over here begging my parents for money for change so I can wash clothes. They've made it out of this, so why can't I? And it's something special about when the alumni come back on campus, no matter what the HBCU campus is, Mike.
And that's what homecoming, that's what the feel of homecoming is. That's what homecoming is all about, right? I didn't grow up in the HBCU culture growing up in D.C. and in that area. It was so much about the professional realm and what you're going to, where your career was going to go. Even though we had Howard, Morgan State, and all of these HBCUs around us, I didn't really understand what homecoming was about until I went down south and I saw what homecoming actually meant. And when you have, the alumni come back and a lot of them, depending on where they are in their lives, that was the best 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 years of their life when they were on campus. You know what I'm saying? So it's and you want to relive that. You were never more free. You were never more broke. You were never more, hey, it's me against the world. And you find out who you are when you're going through those years in college, man. And it makes who you are. And you forge yourself by that fire. So it's good to see that love. And like I said, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Tennessee State. From the administration and the president, new president, all the way down to students, like Tyler Cole right there. And you're seeing that unity there, and you're seeing that execution. They're getting it done in all facets. I saw it firsthand with the Grizzlies when we were there two weeks ago. I saw it with First Take and being able to host that. And then they're going out there on the field to play and getting it done as well, too, with Eddie George and that football team. So we'll see. It's going to be a big-time game, and we'll break that down in a moment. But I love all the energy that I'm seeing from Tennessee State right now.
Let's go from alumni and current college students to future college students. Mike, Grizzlies mentoring. We had them on 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember when, to talk about their college tour. They ended up completing it successfully. I would add, they ended up going to the Triangle. They went to Atlanta, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse. They took the kids around on their first college tour. I talked to some of the people on that tour. We have pictures. Let's go to those. Talked to the adults on the tour. They said the kids were real slack-jawed, wide-eyed, and got pulled aside by a couple of them. And was like, yo, this is the greatest thing that's happened to me. The best thing that I feel like I've done has been go on this tour, Mike.
Yeah, and they got a chance, as you see right there at the end. I mean, they got a chance to go to Six Flags, too, to have fun.
A good tour always is at Six Flags if you're in the A, baby.
Hey, you're going to party with a purpose, man, and you're going to have a purpose as part of that party. So it's one of those deals where, you're talking about 30 kids, young adults, and some of them from the 9th grade all the way to the 12th. They're seeing college campuses like this for the first time. They're getting on a bus and going charter and then exploring these type of things for the first time. And you just can never discount how much impact having something like this.
I love the picture in front of Spell.
Yes, has on these young people, because I remember what it was like for me to pack up and go with my aunt and her daughter, my cousin, when we dropped her off at college and we were taking her to different colleges that she was interested in. I was in the 9th grade at the time. She was going into college. And that made me say, okay, I need to be here too. And so, you know, this is wonderful. This is a beautiful situation. Atlanta University Center has so many different programs and opportunities. And this won't be the last time that we hear from these students in the Grizzlies. The Mentor Memphis Grizzlies group joined with another organization, and they took 30 kids out to a college tour, man. And if 25 of these kids apply to college and maybe 20 of them get in, job well done.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's great.
Yeah.
Wanted to definitely give them some love. On the other side, we've got our game of the week. We've got our pick six, and we're not done talking about Tennessee State doing newsworthy things. We got all of that coming up next on HBCU Huddle right here in the Built Ford Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Maxwell in concert. The Serenade Tour. October 16th at FedEx Forum. Maxwell. With special guest Jasmine Sullivan. And October London. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Maxwell Live.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Welcome back. Thank you again to Tyler Cole for joining us. HBCU Huddle, CJ Hurt, Mike Wallace, Tennessee State.
Again,
more Tennessee State.
Again?
More Tennessee
They
State.
deserve the love, man. They deserve the love.
Richard Barrett.
They deserve the love.
And he was there when it was Tennessee A&I.
A&I.
That's a while back.
Yeah.
He got into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame this weekend. 3-time NAIA champion, 2-time NAIA tournament MVP, 1959 number 4 overall pick in the NBA draft, a 2-time NBA champion. His number 12 is retired by the New York Knicks. Graduated, like I said, from Tennessee A&I, which later became Tennessee State in 2019. The teams that he played on from 1957 to 1959 at Tennessee A&I. Those teams got inducted to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Mike, to see a legend like this, a pioneer, right? It's the 50s. We just got black people in the door in the 50s into the NBA. I think the first black player came through in 1950. So he's fresh off the backs of that. To see him finally get the recognition and get the recognition while he's still alive and able to soak it in.
That's key. That's key, because a lot of time, you know, these guys that get to the Hall of Fame, you know, some of them, especially when they're passed over initially, like his playing career ended 50 years ago, 40 years ago, somewhere around there. And so he's had chances to get eligible for the Hall of Fame. Like, he's been Hall of Fame eligible for 45 years, it seems like. And for him to finally get over and get in not only says a lot about who he is as a person and as a player, but also the recognition of what it meant to put up those numbers at a HBCU, at a historically black college and university. He came through in that era where, one of his teammates, Willis Reed, think about it. Those Knicks teams had 2 HBCU players that were dominating on that team. Barnett and Willis Reed. Like, when you think about it, like, you can't have there's barely a HBCU player in the NBA among all teams right now. So the talent is there. But there was an era back then in the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s where the best players at black colleges were elevating themselves into NBA careers in the NFL and Major League Baseball. And it seemed like every other team had a star coming from the HBCU ranks. So cap tip to Barnett. He certainly deserves it. He's in there twice now, one with his team and then one as a solo player from that standpoint. So big-time recognition again for Tennessee State.
My favorite, I had to read up on him. One of the favorite things one of the little tidbits I got on him was the Nationals, the Syracuse Nationals, who I do believe went on to become the New York Knicks or maybe the Brooklyn Nets or the New Jersey Nets. I can't remember. But they ended up trading him to the Lakers in 1962 for $35,000, which at the time was the highest player for money transition in the NBA.
Wow.
In NBA history.
Wow.
And so he was over there with Elgin Baylor.
Yeah.
And he was a backup point guard to Pistol Pete.
Okay.
And so when I think one of those years Pete went down injured and he stepped in and got them to the playoffs, and then Pistol Pete came back and he went back to his bench role. But it's no small feat to have your jersey retired by any team, let alone a team like the New York Knicks with so much basketball history.
Yeah. So, and again, that's what I'm saying. When you talk about his trajectory and what he meant and the impact, he wasn't a household name. Like I've been following NBA for years, and I'm a historian of the league, and I didn't really hear a lot about him until recently when he was being brought up for being overlooked in the Hall of Fame. But it's always good to go back and do the research and respect the careers of these guys that have come through.
Absolutely. Let's get to our HBCU Huddle game of the week. It's a lot of good games this week, but I went with Tennessee State, Howard. It's homecoming, and let's figure some things out in the middle of those box to roll polls. And for my ballot specifically, this helps me out tremendously, Mike, in the middle. This does. Listen, when we look at the tail of the tape, Tennessee State all-time record of 555, 288, and 33. Current record of 5-2. Tennessee State notable alum Oprah Winfrey. I don't know if you guys have heard about her. She's just a retired talk show host. She was big in the 90s. Player to watch, Draylon Ellis, tied for 11th in the nation in touchdown passes. On the other side, Howard, all-time record 524, 540. Current record 3-3. Notable alum Wendy Raquel Robinson, Issa's fake mama. That's their famous alum. Player to watch, one of the best defensive backs in the nation, Kelly Gallup Jr. What, Mike?
Man, listen now. You said we were gonna come back to the Howard tail of the tape graphic, and each time, man, you keep overlooking the top 25 greatest people to ever come out of Howard, and you keep coming with these obscure people, man.
Obscure? You don't
we
remember?
had a whole commercial about
you don't remember
this.
Principal Piggy from Steve Harvey's show?
I do.
Yeah, that's her.
And where is she in line?
Where is
she in line for
me?
How many more times are we going to talk about Howard being in the game of the week?
Is Gus Johnson? Is her? I don't know what it's Chadwick. I don't know what you want.
But you never had Chadwick up there.
Well, I'll have Chadwick one day, Mike.
All right,
Chadwick's got to wait his turn. She was in the game. She was a mama from the game. The TV show.
I got you.
I didn't know this. Found this out reading. It's fun and fundamental, people. Wendy Raquel Robinson has a school in LA that for acting.
Okay.
And so it's for kids.
Yeah.
And Issa Rae came up through that program.
Oh wow.
She was there.
So
she was there ninth grade.
Okay.
Yeah, like they have that type of a connection. Thug Yoda from the show Insecure, the little gangster the gang member who spits philosophical wisdom. He came all the way through that program. They've had a lot of really great actors and actresses who started their acting career
through that program.
Through that program, which she had.
All respect to Ms. Robinson there, and no, she definitely doesn't pale in comparison. Now, the matchup, the tail of the tape, like you can't put her up against Oprah Winfrey. If you're gonna go Oprah Winfrey on one side, you know what I'm saying?
I really wanted to go Wilma Rudolph again, but I felt like I couldn't use Wilma Rudolph twice.
Oprah's big time. So yeah, that game. All right, so the game.
Wait, hold on. Wait, we're back on Oprah.
Okay.
Do the youth know how Oprah became Oprah or
probably not?
Okay.
Probably not because
if you went home and you said, "Hey, how did Oprah get her start? Like, what is Oprah Winfrey known for?" Would he have any answer other than, I don't know, she's just been rich my whole life. That's how I know her.
And because she's not even regularly on TV anymore either during his time. But they will know her. And it's crazy that he would know her simply because Oprah is from Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Kevin and Kelly's mom is from Kosciuszko, Mississippi.
Okay.
The Boys and Girls Club in Kosciuszko, Mississippi is named after Oprah Winfrey.
Really?
And they went to the Boys and Girls Club in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. So that's a different thing. Like most kids wouldn't have known that, but they do know it because they have a familiarity there. They know where her house is.
One Pack is a child. I'm going to go find her downstairs after the show. I'm going to ask her what she knows about Oprah.
Well, she probably does now because we're talking about it.
No, I guarantee you she doesn't know about the talk show.
Okay, the Oprah Winfrey Show. Yeah.
Oh, she knows about it. Never mind, Mike. I'm wrong.
Of course,
she knows about it.
Of course. Like she became like Oprah Winfrey went, and you know Oprah's story, man.
Yeah.
And she went from a news anchor in Nashville. She went to Tennessee State from Mississippi. Went to Tennessee State, news anchor in Nashville, and then her career just blossomed once she got into film and production from that standpoint. But giving billions of dollars away or hundreds of millions of dollars away, and she was just in Memphis not too long ago. Interviewing Elvis's granddaughter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And no one knew that she was here during that time. You know you rolling big time when you can come through a town, put on a production, and then get out of town without many people knowing you were ever there.
Yeah.
That's big time security. But we're supposed to be talking about the game because that's a great game.
Oh, yes, it is.
That game. Tennessee State is playing so well right now, coming off of a 41-point offensive explosion. I think that Tennessee State is going to go up there and take that game. It's not going to be easy, though. Howard is not an easy place to get to. It's not an easy place to play. The stadium is real small. The facilities are kind of, it's more like a high school type in terms of how many people can get in there. Everybody's right on top of you. So if Tennessee State can stay the opposite of distracted, they got to be locked in. If they get locked in, they can win this game, and they got to keep it's a non-conference game, so it doesn't impact them in the Big South OVC. But to go into somebody's place during homecoming, Howard homecoming is one of the greatest homecomings that you can have in D.C. That's going to be a super, super big-time game. The band is already ticked off because they can't go, from that standpoint. But I do think this is going to be a test for Tennessee State's defense, but they should be able to prevail in this game. I'm looking forward to watching it.
I wonder how many people go from the tailgate to the game because Howard has had problems with that, where it's hundreds of thousands of people outside, and then you look inside, and it's maybe half or a quarter full.
Well, you can't even get, but I'd be surprised if you can get more than 4,000 people in that stadium anyway. It's a small stadium, right? And like I said, it's like
Howard has closed the Ave. I'm not sure what they call that.
They locked down everything.
They closed that down. They're not allowing tailgating going on there. This year. So maybe that helps with the fan attendance. But I'm with you, Mike. I like Tennessee State in that matchup as well. Howard is going to be tough for that offense. Howard allows the 8th fewest passing yards per game in the nation. And so they've got that going for them. Kenny Gallup Jr. is one of the best players in all of the FCS. Draylon Ellis in the Tennessee State offense has a lot to try and overcome, but they've got a good defense also. You brought that up, Mike, on the other side. I would expect this to be low scoring, 13-17 or 14-21 type, 24 type game.
And I got it going the other way. I got to be in the shootout.
You got to be in the shootout? I got to
be in the shootout because both of these teams can make big plays, man. Both of them are big play offenses, and I got it going the other way. I think it's going to be somewhere 35-28, somewhere around there. But it's going to be an intriguing game, man. I wish I could be there. It's my hometown, D.C. That's not typically a team you want to bring in for your homecoming, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is a major you usually want to bring in a cupcake that you can beat up on and have fun against. This isn't your typical homecoming.
Before this year, I'd say, yeah, you go get Johnson C. Smith to come up for homecoming, right? Virginia Lynchburg, where you at?
Yeah, you go get something
you
like
Waters,
that.
come through. Hell, this year, Tuskegee, for some reason, they don't know how to play football. Come play us. Let's take a look back before we get to this week's Pick Six, let's take a look back at last week's Pick Six. Mike continues to roll, 22-10. 4-2 record last week. Grambling got him, didn't get that one. Texas Southern got him, didn't get that one. But you did get Tennessee State over Eastern Illinois, Arkansas Pine Bluff over Prairie View A&M, Winston-Salem State over Shaw. And I made up a game that did not happen at all last week, Mike.
Man, tell us about that.
I don't know why the hell I thought Fort Valley State and Miles were playing. What I think happened was like, oh, look at the standings. These two are up there in the SEAC standings. They should play. And then I just typed it in like they actually played.
And you had us picking a game that
so
didn't
we
even
picked
exist.
A game that didn't even, and not only did
Will
it not
they
exist.
play?
No,
have they ever played?
No, they don't play this year. They don't play this year. And I got sad news. I think I did it again this week.
Uh-oh.
I think I did
well,
it
at least I
again
got to
this
check on that. So
Yeah.
I got credit for it. You better get an X on that because you don't get credit for that.
I gave myself 3 X's. Kyra only put one of them up there. I hit on Alcorn State over Grambling State.
Yeah.
Southern over Texas Southern. Tennessee State over Eastern Illinois. I missed Prairie View A&M over Arkansas Pine Bluff. Tip of the cap to the Golden Lions over there. Hit on Winston-Salem State over Shaw. And again, I just completely
made up a game.
Made up a game.
Mm-hmm.
Made up a game. As we look at this week's Pick Six, Mike, I'll let you know which game it is. That is not happening. We'll figure it out.
How'd you do this twice?
Mike, I don't.
Back to back.
Do you think I'd be better at my job?
Man.
That's what you would think.
You're just creating matchups on here.
Just matchups. I'd love to see these matchups, and I'm just making them up.
I got to be on the lookout for you now, man. Next week, we're going to be picking Atlanta Tech versus
Atlanta A&T versus Hillman. Coming up. Big time matchup. A&T versus Hillman. Atlanta A&T.
Yeah, Atlanta A&T.
What was the school in school days? Were they Atlanta Tech? Were they Atlanta A&T? Where were they?
No. School days, I think they might have used the real names down there.
No, school days didn't. No, school days didn't use real names. Hit us up. Hey, message at us on Twitter, Conradicalness, my mic check, or if you're in the YouTube watching. See, I say the Twitter and the YouTube. If you're in the YouTube watching, leave a comment for us so we know. I don't just let us know where
School days
takes place. The University School Days takes place at. All right, Mike, your Pick Six. Number one. Mm-hmm. I know the first game is happening. I know that for a fact. Who you got?
Of course, Tennessee State over Howard. We just talked about that. I think this is going to be the second biggest game of the weekend to me, and it's going to be the most intriguing to me because, it's going to be the second most intriguing because it's non-conference. And I just really believe Tennessee State is playing well right now. Part of me wants to see them continue this momentum and stay relevant all the way through the Big South OVC season finale against Southeast Missouri State. But I'm going Tennessee State over Howard right there. Next up, I am going dang it. I don't want Grambling State to win this game. And it's hard for me to say that because I want Coach Hampton, man, to really continue that breakthrough. They work so hard over at UAPB. They've come up short a couple different times. They're in every single game. Grambling got to get right here, right? Like, they got to get right. And I think this game is at UAPB, I want to say. And if it's at UAPB, I think they can stay in this game, but I got to pick Grambling because that's where I went. And I'm going to go with my alma mater. Next up. Let's go. Where we going? JSU over FAMU, biggest game in HBCU football. This is, to me, and this is going to decide the SWAC East division. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to decide the SWAC East. And Jackson State is playing well offensively. FAMU has been playing well defensively. And this is going to be a clash of two teams that don't like to lose, don't know how to lose, and are really, really playing well. FAMU is going to be tested in this one. I think Jackson State is going to get them, though, because that game is going to be right down there at Jackson State University off Memorial Stadium down there. So I think Jackson State's going to win that one, and it's going to be a big-time showdown there. Probably the highest-attended HBCU game we're going to see this season.
I want to know what the attendance is for this game because I feel like not just highest-attended HBCU game, but highest-attended FCS game. And when we look back at this weekend in college football, and there's some big-time games this weekend in college football, I wouldn't be surprised if this is
right up
top.
There.
10, top 15 most attended football game from the weekend. And also, you know, it's going to be a party at the tailgate.
Ooh,
I got family
before and after.
I got family coming into town. And I love my family.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, unfortunately, otherwise I'd be over there.
Yeah.
I'd be there. Next up, Mike, we got South Carolina State and Fort Valley State.
Oh, yeah. South Carolina State, Chinnisberry doing its thing, man. Fort Valley State is going to be a challenge, but South Carolina State has proven that, hey, we're not taking a year off. We're not rebuilding. We're coming for it right now. South Carolina State over Fort Valley State.
Somebody's got to win this next one, Mike.
Yeah, but I'm going to go Mississippi Valley State over Bethune-Cookman just because Valley is playing at home. Bethune-Cookman is still dealing with the aftermath of the controversy and the storms and everything that they've had to go through and endure all season long. They're just not a program that's really ready to jump up and win right now. Mississippi Valley State was up 14 last week over Alabama State, right?
Yep.
Or was it Alabama A&M? Oh,
State.
And they are competitive. They've been competitive. They just hadn't had a win. Somebody's got to win now when I'm going Valley on this one. And last but not least,
the game that doesn't exist, Mike.
Johnson C. Smith is not going to lose this week. So they're not going to lose no matter.
They got Shaw. So we'll make that Johnson C. Smith versus Shaw.
Oh, Johnson C. Smith is going to win that one too. So they face the hardest game that they're going to play, right? I mean, they've already won against some really, really quality competition. If they can stay focused, man, they can run the table right now as the only unbeaten HBCU. So Johnson C. Smith is winning this weekend over whoever CJ has him up against.
Yeah. My fault. My bad. As we take a look at mine, I will go with Howard. Is at home. And like I said, I think that passing D will be a bit of a problem for Tennessee State and Draylon Ellis. Give me Howard over Tennessee State. Like I said, low scoring affair. Next up, I will take Mekhi Hagans and Giovanni Gibson over Grambling State. So give me Arkansas Pine Bluff over Grambling State. If Grambling State's not forcing turnovers by the bunches, I'm not sure what that offense is going to be able to do. I will take Jackson State over FAMU. You're talking about two really good quarterbacks in the SWAC, and Jacobian Morgan and Daniel Richardson. Passing efficiency, Jacobian Morgan leads the SWAC in. He's second in the SWAC in completion percentage. He's second behind Daniel Richardson on the other side. If this game was in Tallahassee, I'd go the other way. But FAMU from a statistical standpoint this year, kind of middle of the pack in the SWAC. And when you watch them, it's like, oh, FAMU can't keep playing with five. Eventually, they got to get burned, don't they?
Yeah, you would think.
They've played with it enough. If Jackson State doesn't have 5 turnovers against Grambling State and give up, 2 defensive touchdowns to Grambling State? That game looks a whole lot different. Jackson State's defense is really, really good as well. And like I said, I think that Jacobian Morgan is a really good quarterback in the SWAC this year. I'll take Jackson State over FAMU. I will go with South Carolina State over Fort Valley State. Chinnisberry is familiar with Fort Valley State, having coached at Benedict for so long. I think they go out there and take care of business against them. I will take Bethune-Cookman over Mississippi Valley State, and somebody's got to win it bowl. Somebody gets their first win of the season. These two teams have combined for 0 wins and 12 losses. So, hey, this might be somebody's only chance at a win. Let's see what happens there. And then, I'll take Johnson C. Smith over, not Winston-Salem State, over Shaw. And next week sets up a real interesting showdown. Assuming Winston-Salem State wins this week on the road, where Johnson C. Smith, who they beat Virginia Union and Virginia State at home. So this will be their first road, not first road test. This will be a good road test for them next week. But that's next week. So that's wrong. But Johnson C. Smith over Shaw this week. That's my picks, and that'll do it for us on this week's HBCU Huddle. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this week. Thank you to our guests for joining us this week, and thank you, Mike, for being the co-host this week. That'll do it for us, and I got to go get ready for the Maxwell Show, baby. Let's go.
I thought you already went.
I already went. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. Okay, good.
For Mike, I'm CJ. Everybody take care.